Hi, my name is William Thayer. I'm talking about the COVID crisis. When I started, I'm making a series of video tapes on this, and my aim is to convince people that we need comprehensive testing, mass testing, and not for a short period of time. We need it for at least a year, or we need it until we get a vaccine. Now, when I started making these tapes, the number of COVID cases was about 500,000. The deaths were about 20,000. That means in about the last 2 weeks, we've had 30,000 deaths. So it is imperative that we do mass testing as soon as possible and keep it up. So these are the other videos I did because I try to answer the questions of, hey, can we mass produce 1,000,000 test machines? And we can. Can we mass produce the reagents? Yes, we can. And I just emphasize different aspects of the problems in those tapes. So if this is the first tape you looked at, it might be worth going back and looking at some of the other tapes, the other videos. So outline for this talk, just the obvious fact, COVID is deadly, okay? In many places, and I'm going to go to not just say a general thing like in the country we need testing, but specific places that we all go to, we're going to need comprehensive testing, and summarize. So this is to just emphasize again how deadly COVID is. The USA, 876,000 cases, 50,000 deaths, death rate 5.7%. And keep in mind, this is with lockdown. If we didn't lock down, it'd be much worse and we'd have many more deaths. Spain, 213,000, 22,000 deaths, 10.3%. Italy, 190,000, 25,000 deaths, 13.2%. And Germany is doing good relative to everybody else with 3.3%. Hats off to them. The UK, 140,000 cases, 18,000 deaths, 13.3%. Actually, about the highest rate of death around. New York has as many cases and as many deaths as most countries, most major European countries. 270,000 deaths, 270,000 cases, 21,000 deaths, 7.8% death rate, and they have excellent doctors in New York. Texas, 22,000 cases, 561 deaths, 2.5% death rate. In Hawaii, 600 cases, 12 deaths, 2%. Just about everybody would be like to live in Hawaii at this moment in history, I think. But the bottom line is look at any of the statistics, and COVID is deadly. And keep in mind, again, this is with, as Dr. Fauci says, mitigation. This is keeping everything locked down. Everybody's 6 feet away. Imagine if we didn't. Until we get a vaccine, our only defense is testing. We need massive testing. Now I say comprehensive testing, but I'll modify that to just say massive testing, and we need it in specific spots. And depending upon which spot, we're going to need daily testing in some areas. So this is one of those places. A dental office, dental hygienist, I don't think you would be probably more susceptible to getting COVID than sitting in a dentist office 6 feet away from a dentist that had COVID. You'd absolutely get it, or a dental hygienist. So the only thing that they can do to protect you is to test themselves every single day. And if they test themselves every single day and a patient comes in with COVID, they're going to give it possibly to the dentist or the dental hygienist. So the patients have got to be tested too. I think this just is absolutely obvious. The link down below is a petition to the American Dental Association, and I've signed it. Okay, and it says every dental office is faced with this problem, and the only thing is to do COVID testing of the dentist, the dental hygienist, everybody in the office, and every patient that comes in the office. I don't see any other way out of it. Doctor's office, perhaps not quite as invasive as a dental office, but the doctors get close if they're going to do any kind of physical exam. Oh, I have a sore throat. Yeah. you're going to have to check that out. You're going to have to get close. A hospital, well, this is probably where there's more germs in general, but COVID in particular. You really, first of all, for the sake of our hospital workers, and my son's a doctor, one son's a doctor, the other one's a nurse, uh, every day, every single person that works in a hospital ought to be tested. Okay, first, that's to protect them, but it's also to protect the patient. If you can imagine a doctor having COVID going around seeing 16 patients, boy, he could give 16 patients COVID. Or a nurse, same thing. So absolutely, these people, we haven't been able to do it because we just haven't had enough test machines. There's 4 million hospital workers. That's going to take a lot of test machines to do. So when I say massive testing, this is the kind of thing I have in mind. Nursing homes, this is the most deadly place that COVID has struck. In the U.S., I think, what do we have? 50,000 deaths, 10,000 or more have been in nursing homes. So it's just a small segment of the population, the most vulnerable. I think the people that reside in nursing homes that are pictured here, probably they could get tested once. And if they didn't have it, everything would be okay. It's the workers. It's the workers that come into the nursing home. They go home at night. They're with their family. If their kid picks up COVID, gives it to them, and they're asymptomatic and go back to the nursing home, they could just have like Kirtland, Washington, where they had 40 people in a nursing home die. And any visitor to a nursing home, I imagine that's going to be restricted for a while, but they've got to be tested for COVID before they go in. Aircraft carrier. This is USS Roosevelt, 5,000 sailors on board. Nearly 1,000 of the 5,000 were sick. And on the French aircraft carrier, Charles de Gaulle, it was 1,000 out of 2,200 sailors. So close spaces, no way you can separate 6 feet away. I don't even know if masks would help, I'm sure, but stop it, probably not. What would do it is comprehensively testing these sailors at regular intervals and separating out the ones that are sick. Sports arenas, stadiums. Now, and just take a look. Of course, if you had people in here that had COVID, of course, when the game is over, more people are going to leave the stadium with COVID. That's pretty obvious. Happened in Mardi Gras, and not a stadium, but a group of quite a large group of people down in New Orleans. That's what caused their outbreak down there. So if you're going to go into a stadium, can you do that? I believe that you can do it. I mean, we'll have to test and see and build up gradually. But I believe you can do it if you do an intelligent testing program before anybody enters into the stadium. Restaurants and bars. Yeah, this is what we'd like to do and we can't do at this point in time. Is it practical to test everybody every day before they go into a restaurant? I don't know. Maybe there's a better approach. Maybe if we had some sort of regular testing, say the restaurant at the left said, you can't come in here for a meal unless you're in a certified database that says you've been tested for COVID and you're negative, and you've been tested within the last 3 days. Okay, maybe something like that would work. And say the restaurant at the right said, hey, we don't care. If you don't want to get tested, that's fine because nobody else in our restaurant is tested. Now, if you had a choice, you might, if you felt like you wanted to be a little safer, I think you'd probably go to the restaurant on the left. But, maybe some people would like to do that on the right. It just depends. Airliners. Well, I'll tell you, yeah, airliners are crowded. I am not getting on an airliner unless every one of those happy faces on the airliner has been tested. And I think they'd want me to be tested for COVID before I got on the plane with them as well. And I have a special video just on airliners. I think it can be done with intelligent testing. Subways. Oh, my God. This is going to probably be the last place that recovers. I'm not sure. Maybe it's going to have to wait till a vaccine. There's no way that you can test people before they get on a subway. That's just not practical. So I don't know what you can do. Can you get a database and check people at the turnstile that they've taken a test within, I don't know, 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, whatever works? I think we're just going to have to get back in the subways with some sort of a testing program and see what works. This is going to be a really tough one. But maybe we don't need comprehensive testing everywhere. Yeah, maybe out in the middle of Wyoming, they can go, comprehensive testing? Nah, we don't need it. And they probably don't. But comprehensive testing or massive testing, until we get a vaccine, we're going to have comprehensive testing. I'll define comprehensive testing in a hospital as every single person that works in that hospital. That's comprehensive testing. Visitors, if they're ever allowed into a hospital, okay? You're going to have that kind of comprehensive testing. Probably the testing is going to be more in the urban areas, probably less in the countryside. We're going to have to invest in the production of at least 1 million test machines. I would say probably several million, because every dentist office is going to want to have 1 or 2 of these machines. Every hospital has got to have 20 or 30 at least. Okay, at least. Okay, so you're going to want a bunch of different testing machines in different areas, and you're probably going to want to have some public testing, and maybe everybody lines up in a car and gets tested in a Walmart parking lot. I don't know, but we're going to have a lot of testing machines to support this. If we do, then we can find who's sick, isolate them. The 99% can pretty much go on with their life as normal, and the 0.2% that's sick would be isolated. What we're really going to have to get on top of is mass production of what I call test samples, or the chemicals, or the reagents. Because the machines, once we produce them, it's kind of like the razor. But the razor blade, that's the reagents that we're going to use for test after test after test for a year, maybe 2 years if we don't have a vaccine. Okay, so we really need to put some emphasis on getting mass production of these reagents and getting the cost down. Of course, we need to train people to do the test swabs, which may be training yourself. Summarizing, until we have a vaccine, it's probably going to be at least a year, could be 2 years away, which means we're going to have next winter before we have a vaccine. So if we want to prevent a second surge, we want to have a lot of test machines out there. Until we have a vaccine, we can't defeat it medically, okay? And it's unlikely that by the next winter here, we're going to have eliminated all COVID cases. This is just too contagious a virus. But we can't afford to have a large number of cases because this virus is just too deadly. I think that with comprehensive testing, we could really do a good job, for example, in protecting our nursing homes. Restaurants, that's going to be a little harder. The best we can do is detect and isolate the sick. Of course, treat them as best we can, but we need to isolate them from the rest of the population so they don't give the COVID illness to the rest of the people. Comprehensive testing in many different areas is our best option. It is going to require a capital investment to produce machines, even more so probably to produce the reagents. But we're going to be doing this for a long time. Once we get our country in shape, other countries are probably going to benefit from what we can produce. So thank you very much for your attention, and stay healthy.